All right, so one thing we wanted last time, so let's remember where we were, right? If we run this, and remember one uh, thing, one bug that the system has is that if you don't let it open a separate window, then it won't work properly, right? So we managed to put the ship. It can run, it can fly in all directions, right? We also have animated thrust for that, and we can shoot missiles. Um, all right, and actually, I want to make sure that they can run through the entire screen. So if I'm here and I want to shoot in the diagonal, yeah, it's long enough for range. Cool. Um, so one thing we would like to do, everybody has this, right? Everybody has this working. One thing we would like to do is have multiple missiles and not have a missile stop when the next one starts. Okay, so we want to have a set of missiles. Now notice that we have global variables for this missiles, and each missile has a bunch of attributes: position, velocity, moving, um, angle, life, and expiry, right? Um, so what we would like as a first step is to turn this into a dictionary, right? Instead of having 5 different variables, what we want is a dictionary, right? And we say missile is, and we open a brace, and we're going to close the brace here, and we're going to say position, and I think this has to be a string, and 0, 0, right? Then we want velocity, and this is going to be 10, and moving, actually we don't need it because we're going to put this into a actually let's leave it here for the time being, but we're going to get rid of it. Moving, and we're going to be, it's going to be false, and then life, and it's going to be 100, right? And expiry, it's going to be 0. Okay, and now everywhere where we see the missile being tackled, right, we go and use the dictionary. All right, so now we can do this. So here we're going to have missile position, missile angle. We're going to have a set of them, right? So if you wait a little bit, you're going to see the benefit. So obviously the important thing is that this change will not make a difference in the way things work, right? We just organized our data a little bit differently. But then this will enable us to have multiple missiles soon. Okay. Missile image, we only have one of them, so we don't need to make that part of our pardon? Maybe we forgot, but it's defined here. So after moving, let's put an angle here, which is 0. All right, we need the missile now to be global. and we need to keep going. So missile position. All right, missile expiry here. Sure. So so what's your email?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
We're only changing the missile. We're only changing the functions of the missile.
Yes. So we want to make that change, make sure that everything is still working. All right. And then we're going to go on and so I want to delete this completely. All right. We're going to go on and turn the one missile into a set of missiles. So keep going. All right, did I miss anything? So same thing here, I need to only make missile global. Did I miss anyone? Any occurrence of missile? Hopefully not. So let's see whether this still works. Something is wrong. Yes, we missed this one. Okay, all works fine. All works fine. So now we want a set of missiles. Okay, so I'm going to have a missiles, which is an empty set initially. Okay. All right. So let's see what happens. Right, in the drawing part, inside of this set, at some point, at any point, we might have multiple such objects, right? So instead of drawing just a single missile, we want to draw all missiles, right, with their current position. So we're going to do for missile in missiles. Okay? And pretty much this is all we have to do, right? There's drawing is very simple. So this missile, right, becomes the missile that we use here, the one that we use here, the one that we use here, and so on, right? This missile here doesn't need to be global anymore. Missiles, nevertheless, does need to become global. Okay? Now, what happens when we press space, right? Here, we used to set this missile to its attributes, all right? So instead of doing that, we're going to just add a new missile to the set of missiles. So instead of using missile here, we're going to define a function that returns a new missile. Def new missile, right? And then this is no arguments, right? I'm going to say return this, okay? So, whenever we, so here we're going to say again missiles. So whenever we press space, right, we're going to say missile equals new missiles, missile, all right? And then we're going to start. Missile moving is true. Missile position is ship position plus blah, blah, blah. Missile angle, missile expiry equals missile life, right? So then we want to add the current missile to missiles. Missiles dot and I'm going to have to find out how to add an element to set s. If I say plus equals 1, this doesn't work. S dot dear s. Such add s dot add 1 s, and it becomes the set 1. Cool. So I'm going to say missiles dot add missile. Okay. There's another thing that we need to do. Whenever, right, we want to stop a missile, we have to remove it from the set of missiles. So when we get to the point of, you know, stopping the missile, which is what's happening here, I also have to say missiles dot, and again, we're going to have to find out how to remove it, and remove is here. So we're going to say remove missile. So now we can have multiple, we should be able to have multiple missiles, right? Yeah. So let's verify that that's working fine. Oops. There's an indentation here that was unintended. What's wrong with this? Unhashable type. Dict. All right, so unfortunately, we can't use a set. So we're going to use a list. Because we're using elements that are unhashable. So then we're going to have append. All right, and how do we remove something from a list? Remove works. Okay. So this should work. Let's see. Right, so you see that now we have We have multiple missiles, okay? Yes?
Can you just go up again for the how you define this new missile? Okay.
If I keep getting an error and I have the missile equals new missile section,
Again?
in the key down, where it says that for the space bar, what's that first line under? It's,
This one,
yes.
I'm calling this function that we have defined here.
Uh-huh.
And that function just returns the data for a new missile.
Yeah, I just trying to see what line is
You're trying to see what again?
I don't see why mine is incorrect in that one line. That if you go back down to where it's being called, I don't know why it's
You have an error.
yes.
Yes, because it's new missile and missile equals. Right. So I can make this a little bit nicer. Okay? Yeah, everybody has the code running? All right, next thing we want to do is add asteroids. So I'm going to get the asteroid image. And again, I'm just going to shamelessly steal it from here. What is it? What? It returns this dictionary, right? Which is all the information we need in order to draw a missile, right? In order to draw the missile, we need to know where it is, right? And we need to know where it's going to be next. So it has to have a position, a velocity. We need to know whether it's moving or not. We need to know the angle at which it's moving, and we need to know how much longer does it need to last. What do you mean define? So all the missiles are going to be placed here. say here missile equal new missile, right? So what you missed? You missed this line.
Yeah, I know there.
You have another one?
Oh, there's no error message now, so that's great.
Okay.
No, I saw that.
Okay. So what we want to do is place a asteroids randomly on the screen, right? So every once in a while, we're going to place a new asteroid. All right. So let's start with placing one, right? So we're going to put one asteroid on the screen, and we're going to try to destroy it. All right. So for that, we need random numbers. So we want to put it in a arbitrary place, right? So we want to get a random integer. Actually, we don't want a random integer. So let's see. We want a random integer between start stop. Random choice, random integer, random. Okay, so we're going to use rand range, and we're going to want a random x and a random y. Okay. So a random x and a random y. Right at the beginning of the game, all right, let's work with asteroid. So asteroid x, so sorry, asteroid position should be equal to import random. Let's import the random. So from random, import everything. All right. And then asteroid position is random dot rand range. That's rand range. And actually, I don't need random. I can just say rand range. From 0 to, on the x-axis, remember we have 800, right? From 0 to 600. And actually, these are not good values. We're going to understand why very soon. But for the time being, let's leave them where they are. All right. So we have an initial position that is somewhere on the screen, right? We want also a velocity, right? And we want the asteroid to move very slowly. So asteroid velocity, so angle, and it should be a random floating point number, a random real number. And here we are going to get a random number between 0 and 1, right? Not including 1. And we want a number between 0 and 2 pi. right? That's what an angle is. So the asteroid angle should be random dot random, right? So we want it to be random times 2 times pi. So this looks a lot nicer if we say 2 times pi times random. All right. We want a velocity which should also be an integer in the range of, say, 0 to 3. So asteroid velocity equals rand range from 0 to 3, maybe 5. What was the what was our speed? The speed multiplier. Ship velocity is 5, right? So then this being 5 is too much. It's unfair, right? Because the ship should be able to get away from the asteroid. All right, so we have asteroid angle, asteroid position, asteroid velocity, right? And what we're going to do in the draw is we're going to draw the asteroid, right? And so is canvas dot draw image, and we have asteroid image, right? We have asteroid position. Oh, actually, sorry, I forgot, right? So asteroid position is the fourth argument. And I can't remember exactly, but actually we can see it here, right? So the asteroid is the same size as the ship, right? So it has a center at 45, 45, and it's of size 90 and 90. All right. So we're just going to we're just going to say 45, 45 here, 90, 90. So I need to remember, say the center of the image and the size of the image. Then the position on the screen. Then where's the center? So it's still 45 and 45 because we want a scaling of 1. And we don't care about the angle because it's an asteroid. So we have drawn, and then we have to move the asteroid to its next position. And we're going to let the asteroid move in at constant speed and constant angle and velocity, right? As if, you know, it was Newton's laws in space. It will just keep its current state of moving forever.
Sorry, can I ask what the last 45 is?
So you can scale, right? So you can say that so you can say which point in the image should be placed at this position, right? Let's go back and look at documentation. The graphics modules, and we have canvas and draw image. All right, so we say image, center in the source, size of the source, right? So the image, as it was defined in pixels as a file on the disk, right? It has a certain size, which is this one, right? And where do we consider the center to be? And this allows us to crop, if you remember. Okay, and then the center in the source, where should it be placed in our window on the screen, right? So in the window of 800 by 600, right? This is essentially the position of the center of that image, right? And then we can do scaling. So we can scale. And actually what we want is that this and this to be the same to allow a scaling of 1, which means that I'm essentially wrong, and this is a good catch. I should have 90 and 90 here. Okay, and then what's the next position, right? And the next position, we will get it exactly as from here, right? So I'm just going to say asteroid position. Equals, I'm just going to copy this. And instead of ship, I'm going to say asteroid. Okay, so let's see how this works. And obviously asteroid position needs to be global. Okay, so we have an asteroid on the screen, right? Which is not moving. So let's make it move a bit faster, though. Asteroid, let's put 10 here. Okay, so now it moves very fast. Yes?
I'm getting an error in my calendar.
Yes, because you forgot the I don't know where you open a bracket. Yes.
Can you just draw face rotation
Again?
for the
Okay, so this is a bit too fast. Maybe, yeah, let's set it to 7 maybe. All right, so we have an asteroid, okay? And one thing we would like to do now is check for collision between our missile and the asteroid. Okay? So So I'm going to shift things around a bit. I'm going to first draw the asteroid and then draw the missile. Right? So I'm going to cut this and go above the for loop and paste. Right? So what we're doing now is we are first painting the asteroid and then we're painting the missiles. Okay? And while we paint the missiles, we want to check whether a missile has hit the asteroid. All right? So we're going to consider that the asteroid has a radius of about 40, right? It has, the image has a size of 45, right? But the image is probably a bit wider than the asteroid itself. So we're going to consider that the asteroid has a size, a radius of 40. So, and the missile doesn't have a radius at all. So as soon as the missile is at a distance of 40 from the asteroid, there's impact. Okay? So, and if there's impact, we're going to replace the asteroid with the drawing of the explosion, all right? So we want to check here. Missile has a position, right? So if so let's say missile X equals missile X, missile Y. We can actually do this in Python, which is very convenient. Missile Y is missile of position. All right, and then how do you compute the distance? Pardon? Distance between 2 points. Very good. Yeah. So we're going to say if distance between mx, my, and what was it? Asteroid position. Okay, is less than 40, and then we're going to have the collision. Let's put pass here for the time being, and let's define the distance. All right, so we have point 1, point 2. Return SQRT of 0.1, 0. So let's define some variables. So dx equals 0.1, 0 minus 0.20. So this is the distance over the x-axis, right? dy equals p11, sorry, p11, yes. So 0.11 minus 0.21, right? And we return SQRT, the square root of dx times dx plus dy times d1, right? So this is the distance. And what do we do then? So we need the image of the explosion. So I'm going to go and explosion info. Okay, so I'm going to shamelessly copy this explosion image. Now, I showed you this explosion image previously. Let's look at it again. All right, so if I go here, I'm going to open a new tab. Right? So what we want eventually is to move through all these. All right? There's how many of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Very good. So we're going to move through all of them. But initially, we're going to select the number 12, right? So if you look at number 12, it's around here. So it looks like an explosion. So for the time being, we just want to replace the asteroid by the image of the explosion. Okay? So what we want to record is the fact that an explosion has taken, the collision has taken place, right? So we're going to record the collision. So we're going to have here a piece of information, collision equals false initially, right? And then this collision needs to be global here. And we're going to say if the distance is collision equals true. Okay? And then for the asteroid, right? We're drawing the asteroid here, but we're going to check first, has there been a collision? Right? If collision, right? What do? We draw not the asteroid, but the explosion. All right? Else, we draw the asteroid. So here we're going to say explosion image. And let's see the sizes of the explosion image, which I have in this file. So it's 64, 64, 128, 128. And there's 24 of them. So I'm going to have 64, 64 here. Now, in order to get the first image, I would have 128, 128, right? But I don't want to get the first image. I want to get about the 12th image, right? So I'm going to put 12 in front on the x-axis. All right, I'm going to stay at the asteroid position, and then I don't want any scaling, so I'm going to have 128, 128 here. Cool. Now, if a collision has taken place, all right, I don't want to check for more collisions, and I don't want to calculate a new asteroid position. The asteroid position stays put. Okay? So I'm going to say if not collision and distance. Okay? So let's see what happens now. It did disappear, but we didn't get the right one. Let's start again and try to catch it. Okay, this one is slow moving. Disappeared, but so it means that we're putting the wrong thing in. Putting the wrong thing in. Is this really 128 by 128? Because it doesn't. Oh, this is the real size. Yeah, it could be 128 by 128. (64) would be the center. Oh, no. So we have to say 12 times 128 plus 64. This is the center from where we select, and we select 128 by 128. Okay, so what do we have to say here? We say that around this center, I cut a rectangle of this size, right? So around this center, I cut a rectangle of that size. So where is that center? Well, I'm going to make it small, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Actually, this is 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this one. The center is right here in the middle, plus 64. And on the vertical axis, I also go 64, right? So this is the center. Around this center, I cut a rectangle of size 128 by 128, which is actually a square. So this should now work. Okay?
Where did we define collision?
Again?
Where did we define collision?
So we define collision here. And then you have to say that collision is global. Okay? So now, how do we animate this? Well, there's 24 collision frames. So once collision is true, we actually want to count down through all the collision frames, right? We're actually count up. So we're going to say collision frame equals 0, right? And we know there's 24 of them, from 0 to 23. All right. And then if collision and frame is smaller than 24, then instead of selecting the 12th, I'm going to select collision frame times 128, right? So collision frame is going to keep increasing because I'm going to say collision plus equals 1, right? So collision frame is going to be increasing. So first time I'm going to print the first frame, right? Then it increases. Then I'm going to go to the second frame. Yes? Yes? Obviously, we have to say that collision frame is global. Okay. All right. So let's do another thing. This asteroid velocity, let's add +1 here, so that it's never 0, because occasionally we get 0 and it just doesn't move. It's not fun. Okay. Now I'm not quite sure why it keeps moving. There's a bug there. We wanted to destroy it, and that should have been it. So let's see, why does it keep moving? So if collision and collision frame is less than 24, actually this is wrong. We shouldn't put this here. So let's remove it, and we're going to have another if test inside. So if this, okay, so this one needs a colon here. Okay. So to make it fun, all right, to make it fun, we can restart it. So once this has finished, so does it work for everybody? Let's take a break. Does it work for everybody?
You'll have an error if it's just not showing collision.
No, you left it as a plus here. You should say collision equals true. Yeah. Yeah. What? Something here?
I lost like the
Yeah, because it's funny.
Oh.
I don't know why mine like it looks nice, but I don't know why.
What do you mean looks? So you're running a different place.
Oh wait, okay, mine's not in this way. Okay. It's just
Yes, so you need to
Sorry, you sent me the show. I clicked back on my browser and lost it.
okay. What's your email address?
I'll just type
Yeah, go ahead.
What would we have to do to get the missile to stop moving once it hits the asteroid?
Missile doesn't stop moving.
No,
Yeah.
Stop it, like, so after it hits the asteroid, the missile is moving still, right?
Yeah, so the missile will be still moving. That's true.
How do you stop the missile as it hits the asteroid?
You can just at that very point you can just remove it. Right. So you can just force it. For missiles, remove missile. Collision equals true, and you can say here just missiles, remove missile. That's a good point. This should do it. Okay, so let's have a way of restarting the game. So once the explosion has finished, we want to restart the game. Create a new asteroid. So if we have a collision, and if the collision frame is less than 24, then we keep drawing the explosion, right? This part here keeps drawing the explosion, right? Else, okay? So if we have finished drawing the explosion, we want to create a new asteroid. So we're going to take all these guys, okay? Control C or Command C, and going to the point in the code at the else, I'm going to put them here, Control V. All right, so I'm going to put the asteroid at a random position again. All right, and I'm going to say that there's no more collision, equals false, and the game is completely restarted now. Yes? Now, all these three variables need to be global. So only asteroid position is and collision. So we have to add here asteroid angle, asteroid velocity. Yes? Oops. And there's another thing we need to do. Okay? Because yes, we do collision equals false, but also we have to say that the number of collision frames is 0. Okay? So now, oh, we still don't. So we can kill it, but it doesn't work. Collision. Oh, collision frame, yes. The current collision frame. That's very good observation. Okay. So now you can play. So I'm not going to put a scoring system in. I'm going to leave that as homework. Also, I'm not going to add multiple asteroids. I'm going to leave that as homework. So your last homework is you're going to have to do that. And then you can try tweaking it. Okay, everybody has it? Has the game? No?
It's still not responding.
with your asteroid stuff, you cut and oh, okay. Collision is false. Then you have to put asteroid. No. You compare with what you have here. So to me, it looks quite normal, right? So it's this part. You're not you have the window popping out, right? You're not in a tab. Yeah, I don't know. Take my code and run it and see if it runs for you. You're gonna type your address, your email. At again. U. And see if that works for you. And then you can compare side by side. Figure out what's okay. But this is about it. So this is how far I was planning to go. I want to leave some stuff out. So namely, I want you to figure out how to add multiple asteroids, have multiple asteroids running. Add a score and keep score. So somewhere in the corner there should be how many asteroids you killed. And then have the asteroid hit the ship and end the game. Okay, so there's some danger. So those things in principle. So I'm going to release this code. it's moving too fast. So you have to make it fair, obviously. Yeah, we can play with it too. But that's pretty much it. So this is it for tonight. Do you have any questions? Yeah. Otherwise, you can stick around and ask more questions individually. If you don't do that, class dismissed. See you next time. Thanks for coming.